Hello everyone, I'm not dead. Was a bit partially during the week, but now I am back and we can recap, review and take a look what has happened in Tapeliai last week. It happened exactly on Saturday, so we are 7 days behind the schedule. By now it has never happened that I don't make recaps of the race, which happens in Lithuania in a few days time frame, but things happens, and because the race was nice and one way or another, even if they would have been horrible, I would make this video. So without further ado, let's take a look how the sniper was sitting in the forest during the Tapeliai race in the forest. We jump straight into the forest where all Karma's events happens, and this one was in Tapeliai near Vilnius. This race was exceptional by the fact that one participant, Dainius Radžiūnas, thanks for him, took one camera which I added on his seat post, and that way we will have two camera angles. The good thing is that with Dainius Radžiūnas we most often go in the similar pace, so it was kind of a guarantee that if everything went fine, we will have nicely captured footage. At the start we had few funny jokes because Mykolas Mačiulis arrived to the start few minutes before and he didn't have his bib. Mantas Gritėnas had a story where he had a nightmare of missing the start. Imagine that you arrive to the starting gate, everyone is fully packed, like shot almost goes off to the start and you are not yet ready. So yeah, that would be a horrible thing. Let us know the reasons, Mykolas, why you arrived to the gate so late. Things happen and we are flying to the start. Even though there were only 25 or so participants in our elite group, it was very packed, so everyone was trying to go from the first rows, and you can see that it was a bit complicated for some to start. Few details about two camera shots. So whenever in the right corner you will see the white or the orange color. Orange reflects me, where white would reflect camera from Dainius, as well as whenever you see any visuals on the screen which are whitish, that reflects Dainius data, and whichever are orange, it's mine. While me almost went off the bike here on Mantas Gritėnas' wheel. I wanted to go other direction, but Mantas was a bit slower and I almost hit his wheels. And actually I almost hit Valerijus Novikovas. So sorry about that, Valera, because it was unexpected moment for me. So the start for Dainius was successful because once we put the camera on his seat post, and he was a bit late to the start as well, he said, alright, because I'm the camera, I'm going straight into the front. So you can see that it kind of helped him to avoid the bottleneck. At the same time, it allowed him to avoid the Chuck in the forest, because Chuck Norris was looking carefully, and then Linas Zinevičius and carefully pedaled in the single track. He hit his left pedal during the pedal stroke with the root, and it looked terribly. At such moments it's kind of hard to decide whether you should stop or not, so I just asked, is everything fine? But I was hoping that someone who's coming from behind, if a need to be helped is there, will do it. And then hardtail guys slipped on the route, and you can see that we were going almost on the wheel of Dainius, and now the gap opened, and then I even didn't manage to clip the pedal. So yeah, I was a bit of a cause for that gap as well, but nothing is lost because Mykolas is nearby. And here, even though before the race I made a recon of the course, and I planned to go straight where the guy from Jokers just went, but because I was following Mykolas blindly, I just skipped that and lost the place. But at the same time, on the climb I noticed that my power meter doesn't work. So I spent some time making sure that they are reconnected, and while I was doing that, from both sides guys overtook me. So I just wanted to see if there is a problem or just power meters didn't connect it, and it was the second case. So I reconnected them and gained back position from Mantas Gritėnas following Natalevičius from Colibri Cycling. In the past, there was no chance for me to ride together with Paulus, so even though I'm not sure, maybe he's not ready for the season yet, maybe he didn't had enough kilometers on the bike still, because it's kind of early stage of the season. Anyways, even if it is the case, I was still happy by the fact of riding with those guys together, because in the past it was not possible. And of course, everything is about your personal effort, but then you can compare yourself where you align with others. It's a good thing as well. I was trying quite hard to catch up with Dainius Radžiūnas, who was in front with that radioactive jersey. Not because he had the camera on the back, well, partially it's nice to be captured from the front, but at the same time I knew that I must close that gap if I want to continue going further, and we will see whether it was success or not. But as I mentioned, in the right corner, right top one, you can see that indication changes, and at the same time we have a view from a different camera. By the way, behind me you can see the box from the Fox, and I'm going to create a video about something new installed into the bike. Can you make a guess what is going to happen? Maybe based on the box or something? I'm not going to spoil too much about it, but you can make a guess in the comments. This part was very interesting to look from the back, from the seat post, simply because it looks like I'm going very close to the trees, like almost brushing my shoulder on those pines. However, it's completely not the case. It just looks like this from the camera. Of course, there were a lot more narrow sections in the course, but this one was pretty wide one, and you can see that Dainius here went straight. I did that small loop on the left, and immediately it caused a bit of a gap opening. So my first effort of the lap was quite intense, even though the watts was not there and they were not spot on. I did really strong effort compared with the lap times. Of course, we are not comparing ourselves with like probably Bėgša, Kardelis and Pavlovas, simply because they were in another league on this day and most likely will be on the whole season. You know, young guys, full of power, full of energy, not our old butts. On the right, there was a couple from Poland. They moved to Lithuania, and Justina, the girl, going to participate in Karma potentially. The reason why I kind of promoting this thing, like, hey, have a look, there are foreigners from Poland. It's kind of funny and at the same time pleasing, because we found about Karma looking at my videos. It kind of warms my heart a bit to understand that watching those videos in foreign language helps people to find those events and in general spreading the word about MTB in Lithuania, so I appreciate that a lot. Here was a stupid situation by me, where while going in the front of the train of the whole group, for a slight moment I decided to clean my sunglasses, and at that specific moment I missed the arrow, and at the moment I noticed that I missed it, it was already too late, and the whole train just went through. Thankfully, on that day I felt quite good, and I catch them back right away, and not even yeah, so probably I shouldn't have done this overtake, because it didn't let me anywhere far away, and I spent that energy for almost nothing. So yeah, maybe I thought that I will go faster on that climb. Well, I guess it didn't happen, but so I'm putting again a lot of effort just to catch Paulus, and it will be a success, but again it costs a significant amount of energy. And one thing I would like to point out about Paulus is that he very often pedals standing, and I'm not talking about completely unrolling sections, but in general, if you take a look at the full onboard where Paulus was in front, So it's interesting to watch, and at the same time it looks so easy for him, but I completely understand that it's not that much easier to do so, but looking from a side is like zero effort. Good for you. So there were a few wet places in the course, but in general it was very dry compared to what it could have been. But on every lap, like usual, whole pots became deeper and deeper and deeper, and at the fifth lap, once you come to the place, you don't even know which direction to go because everywhere looks deep enough. From time to time we separated, and here we separated once again because we missed that corner to the right. I followed from behind and other guys managed to turn to the right, but it was like dump situation, I would say. So we are 1 hour into the race and I'm still with those guys. In front it was Chuck Nutter shot, but haven't been killed. Lina Zinavichus, who successfully went on the bike and continued racing and even overtake us all. And here was Remigius Bugas, who kind of went on the course with only one pedal because he had some sort of procedure to his right leg. So he just added flop on the right leg, maybe a bit thicker socks, and he successfully pedaled it slowly but carefully, and he made it to the finish for 3 laps, I guess. On this day my average heart rate was around 170, and the funny thing is that once I consumed gels, not at very great intervals, I was waiting for that finally it feels a bit better in order to continue pushing, but it never happened. I haven't experienced that feeling, and my power outputs reduced every single lap. So in every 5 kilometers it was kind of gradually going down. Here we can see that it was 309 watts during the last 5 laps. There was also a guy from Drate who lost his saddle somehow. I'm not sure about the ways how he did it, but you could have seen pedaling standing. And here was highlight of the day. In front I noticed that there is a foreigner, potentially Ilya, who is from Belarus, but he is living in Lithuania now. And once I come closer and I was pedaling here on the uphill quite intensely, I understood that yeah, it's him. So I informed him in English that I'm going to overtake him from the left. Well, he had different plans. He didn't want to be overtaken by me by 1 lap, but myself, I just had additional motivation to go harder because in front there was still Paulius Natalevičius, and I had expectations that, well, last lap I should give it all. So I started giving it all from Ilya, and what has happened is that for the first time I cut off the chain. Like on that sprint, which was nothing serious, nothing too much interesting or exceptional, it just broken off. And I was kind of disappointed. I didn't had an idea what to do with it, but at the same time I just firstly understood that I need to find out that chain, and once I found, I understood what has happened. So basically 1 link before the quick link separated, and I was lucky that Ilya had a multi-tool for that. So we removed the broken link, and actually looking afterwards I understand that I could have just connected a bit shorter chain and just continue going, but at that time we kind of tried to firstly connect it with the pin, but I lost 1 part. Then Stasis went out for the search of quick link and he found it. So thanks Stasius, Ilya, Saulius, Roman for the help on this. And yeah, I just wanted to finish it no matter what. Of course, most likely I will go last, but it doesn't matter that much because one way or another we come here to kind of punish ourselves, and the punishment was not over. So Thankfully, with 10 speed quick link, it was still holding tight enough for me to go on that lap, and I kind of tried to do the best I can. And you can see that on some segments I even made the best lap for myself on the day. So of course I was a bit of rested for 7 minutes or so. I have done anything about pedaling but just stressing how to fix it. So it was partial rest, I would say. At the same time I was going for 340 watts over average on this lap. There was Tadas Argalauskas on left, probably 3 laps was not enough for him, so he went for another one. And myself, I just continue pushing, and the last segment of the lap was slightly slower than the one which I did on the first lap, but in the first lap we were significantly pushing, so it wasn't a bad effort. And at the same time there was one guy on the left who said like, when did I overtook him? Well, you haven't. Well, you had, but I was standing still. Last but not least, I would like to appreciate the fact that the guys who last year in Tapeliai was in first timers participants, basically the ones who kind of just starting to participate in the race. This year they moved to amateurs. Actually, they potentially raced in amateurs last year already, but anyways, this year they are in the amateurs and they took the podium among their age group. So 2 out of 3 of those guys managed to take the podium in their age groups among the amateurs, so good job guys. The reason why I'm saying that is that it's great that people are not hooked up on the idea of getting those trophies, taking it all, etc. So the groups for first timers, for amateurs and for elites are for the reason, and for the first timers you should go there if you are only starting to get a sense how MTB looks like, and you shouldn't sleep on those trophies. Then you move to amateurs, and if in amateurs you are too strong there and you are taking all the trophies like it's nothing, just consider moving to elite. If you are winning it all, that means you don't have enough competition. If you don't have enough competition, you are not improving. If you are not improving, you are standing still. If you are standing still in the long run, you are moving backwards.